Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach, brought to you by the TeacherCast Educational Network. If you are in charge of professional development and looking to build an innovative digital learning experience, this is the podcast for you. Join us each week as we uncover strategies that tech coaches are using to drive their digital transformations one classroom at a time. And now for your host, with over 2 decades of experience working with tech coaches and ed tech companies from all around the world, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to week 3 of the Coronavirus-a-thon. Today, we're going to be talking all about how we as tech coaches are supporting our teachers, and we're going to give you 5 ways that you can work with teachers during the digital learning days, or, really whatever your school district's calling you guys. I hope you guys are doing so good in your classrooms. I hope you guys are doing good in your houses. I've got 2 amazing co-hosts with me tonight. Susan Vincent, welcome back. How are you today?
I'm great. Had an awesome steak dinner for my birthday that my husband grilled for me here at home since we can't go out and eat. But it's been a great day, and I'm excited to venture into another week of the unknown here.
Well, congratulations. Happy birthday. What does it feel like to finally be of age?
Great.
That's wonderful. I'm going to ask everybody this question here tonight, but we officially have got, we're going to call this week 3 because this is our 3rd coronavirus style tech coach show.
Yes.
I know we've officially been off school for, I'll say a week. Some people earlier, some people later, but overall, how you doing?
Hanging in there. Just a shout out, and I said this last week as we were preparing for our first week off, but our teachers have been awesome. My administrative team has been so very supportive. Just a huge shout out to all of them. And, I don't know if this is the appropriate way to put this, but I'm excited for another week ahead of eLearning, as we've dubbed it at our school.
I love that you have that attitude, and I love that about you. And you've been doing some weird things. You've actually been. Were you in church this weekend?
I was live streaming our service. Actually, I'm part-time staff at our church. I'm the director of communications.
What was that like? Obviously, look, I'm bringing this up because there are people, places out there that are keeping up with social distancing, learning, whatever you want to call it, and there's some places that are adapting. Tell us a little bit about what you did this weekend, and are you planning to change that as we move forward throughout the next 9 months?
Well, actually, we were already planning to start live streaming at our church in about a month before Easter. So we revved that up and started it about 3 or 4 weeks early. So we did it last week for the first time, but we actually let people physically attend church last week. But as of this week, per the mandate of our governor here in Kentucky, we ceased having physical services and did the social distancing thing. So it was two of our pastors who were on stage preaching, our worship team, social distance from each other as they played their instruments, and we put on a church service, and we had over 500 people join us on our live stream here in our community. So it was awesome.
I love the fact that houses of worship, schools, communities, all of these people are starting to learn how to do this whole videos thing and video conferencing and distance learning. And, we as tech coaches are dealing with all that too. And that's why today we're going to talk about the 5 ways that we are working with teachers through video conferencing, through many other means. This past weekend, Susan, we held a tech coach roundtable. We've been calling it our tech coach mastermind, but really it turned into like a big roundtable. We had almost 75 tech coaches get together on Wednesday night on a Zoom meeting, and it was such a wonderful experience.
Great
We
stuff.
did 2 things. Number 1, we actually invited one of the tech coaches on our show tonight. We're going to introduce her soon, but also we're doing it again. We're going to be doing it this Wednesday on March the 25th, again at 8:30 at night Eastern time. And we would love to have you guys be there. In fact, Susan, I think last time I checked, we had over 145 tech coaches signed up to be interested in coming. And I would love to see over 100 tech coaches. So if you guys are out there, ping me up on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach. I'll be tweeting this out. I'll certainly be putting it on the AskTheTechCoach.com. But I do have a Google form, and by signing up for that Google form, I'll send you a calendar invite. But let me bring in our guest of the evening today, Miss Melissa Summerford. Melissa, how are you today? Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach.
Oh, thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited, and I appreciate this experience that I'm getting to talk about what we're doing at my district. I'm doing great.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your district, and you know, how are things?
Okay. Well, I work in a district in Texas near the Houston area. So we've just been getting teachers started, making sure they're comfortable with Google Classroom, making sure they're comfortable with Seesaw. So last week we started our days at 9, 8, and right now, since we've been off, because that week before was our spring break. So when you're on spring break, you get used to staying up late and it's hard to start getting into that routine. So, we've been getting up early, getting online classes going for our teachers, and it's just been I work in a great district. Everyone's been preparing and getting our students ready for this distance learning is what we're calling it. And so we'll be rolling out that soon. So I'm pretty excited. I think this is a great opportunity for teachers to learn some of those new tools that I've kind of been pushing, and it's neat to hear some of that feedback from teachers. Thank you for getting me ready. I couldn't have done this without you. So now I feel like, wow, so those things that I did, it was really making a difference. So I'm excited.
And Melissa, you're a new tech coach, correct?
That's right. And this show has really because I would be, when I started in July, I found this on the Apple podcast and I started listening to it. And, you get so into it, I'm like, that's me. Or, oh my gosh, thank goodness. It really helped get me through, because I feel like this is a new position for my district. So I'm kind of just paving the way and learning as I go. I do have some friends. I also work with a Google PD partner here in Texas. Fried Technology, and they have been such a great support for teachers and myself as well. So I really lean on them a lot. So they've helped me through this new tech coach position that I have.
You had no idea what you were preparing for our circumstances now.
I didn't.
Well, we're certainly excited that you're here. And again, Susan, one of the things I took away from our meeting is there's so many tech coaches who are excited about this. I'm feeling excited about this. I had an amazing opportunity this week to work with so many teachers who, to be honest, I've never spoken to in the building, because I'm a full-time middle school teacher and tech coach. But this week, with the help of my administration, they're all pushing teachers. Come see Jeff, come see Jeff, come see Jeff, come see Jeff. I'm doing sessions almost every day. Even yesterday, we're recording this on Sunday, but yesterday is Saturday. I did 4.5 hours of PD with teachers. I don't know if it's fair to call it professional development, but I had 4.5 hours of video conferencing with these teachers trying to figure out how to do things. And so that's why we're going to talk about this topic here of 5 ways to do digital learning. Before we get into that, Susan, is it possible to be doing this? Is it possible to be a tech coach when you're really not next to teachers helping them out?
Well, of course. We do it, day to day through email a lot. It's just ramped itself up a little bit more intensely the last couple of weeks. But yes, with all of the video conferencing tools that are out there, which I'm sure we'll refer to in a little bit, to me, I kind of made the statement earlier before we started recording that, we're still doing our tech coaching job. We're just wearing a headset right now while we do it.
You're right. You're right. And one of the other things, I think that, when you're responding through email and playing with these new applications, Meet, Zoom, just keeping that relationship with those teachers. My daughter was in her room. She was playing around, and I said, Katie, why are you being so loud? And she showed me this new app that was called House Party. So I got like all my teachers on it, and we're playing games on it. Like, we're still connecting, making that connection. And we just been, even though we're not together, we're still together. And I hopefully we can keep this up, because that's what really brings that strong relationship, as you can be in a classroom when you have that great relationship with them.
Absolutely.
And I love that term, relationships. It's about building those relationships. It's about building trust. And one of the ways that people can know that we're here and we're here to support them, well, Susan, you tell us, what is that first thing that we can be doing?
Well, weekly emails to teachers is a huge thing, still staying in touch, whether it be your normal weekly email that you've sent to teachers each week, or whatever form that takes and looks like with you, and staying in contact with them and your administrators and being willing to schedule those meetings. Now, for me, this past week, typically I'll send out maybe an email a week or every other week. It's been more of maybe 2 or 3 emails this week, just to try to keep them encouraged and motivated. And,
And tell me about those emails, because there's a couple things that I noticed. Number one, teachers right now are getting overwhelmed. In fact, the first thing that one of my math teachers did was they actually wrote did a whole video. So proud of the teacher on how to turn off all of the emails that you get from Google Classroom. It's overwhelming.
Oh my gracious, yes.
Most people don't realize that there is actually granular control inside the settings inside Google Classroom. And he wrote that little email, and I sent that around. The principal sent that around. We put it on the website. And that was a great way for teachers to go, okay, I don't have to get 500 emails, and I can start to whittle away through the different things. Talk to us a little bit about your philosophy, Susan. What does a distant learning email look like? Is it long? Is it short? Is it overwhelming? Or does it just say, hey, what do you need? Call me?
Well, definitely, what do you need? Call me. But with mine, I try to stay on the side of just being encouraging and motivating to them. One thing I did in my email this week, it was, I think, the day 3, and just said, check in with me. How is it going? And I just left it open-ended, reply back. How is it going? And then I left them with a little encouraging word, and I put just a link to a song that I wanted them to listen to that was going to be inspirational to them. So that's really all that was.
And what was the feedback?
That's a great idea.
Go ahead.
Say that again, Jeff. Sorry.
What was the feedback? How many? If you send 100 emails out, how many? What was the percentage of teachers that didn't say anything versus people that said, "Hey," versus maybe the people who said, "Hey, Susan, I have a problem. Can you help me?" Like, what was the feedback on it?
Pretty normal, if not a little bit better than I would normally get, because they're trying to make a video, or they're trying to fix this problem or that problem. So probably a good 50% of response.
Okay. And did you put any tech tips in there, or did you just say, whatever you need, I'm here? Or did you shoehorn something in the bottom of that email?
That one I did not put a tech tip in. I just made it more just encouraging and motivating. My tech tips I've been putting in our Facebook group so as to not clog up their inbox. That way they can search our Facebook group or our website and find what they're looking for.
That's good. Usually, I didn't send emails out. I usually did like a potty PD. And so I've been thinking, how am I going to incorporate that now? Do I put it on my Facebook? I don't want to send them another email. So that is how I used to reach them. So I've been thinking, how am I going to share this potty PD? I mean, we all are thinking about toilet paper now, so why not? Keep sharing it.
I think that's a great idea. What?
Right.
So what are you doing? How are you adjusting yourself?
Well, I send out a form, help me help you. The Jerry Maguire movie came out, and I just basically asked them, what are you interested in me helping? Would you like a one-on-one session? What time are you available? And so I sent that out, pretty late, and I got a lot of responses. I think they're just a little overwhelmed. Some are like, I don't know what I need help with. Help me what you think I need help with. I think they're still trying to get used to what we're about to tackle.
One of the other things that I've been doing this week is being in constant email contact with my principal. And I'm trying to make sure that we keep touch. I'm trying not to say to him, look at all the teachers I've worked with, because I don't want it to sound that way. And I don't want to say like, these teachers are doing things and notice how these teachers are. But I'm trying to keep him positive of, look, your staff is doing an amazing job. Look,
Yes.
your staff is being proactive. But yesterday, like again, Saturday, I had 2 different sessions. They were long sessions. Like, look, these teachers are reaching out. So I also am well aware that as a principal, you're getting a ton more emails than we are as teachers. So I try to keep those short. I try to bullet point things. I try to bold things. I try to make sure all the links are accurate. I want to make sure that everything goes in there. So keeping weekly stuff going to your teachers is important, not overwhelming them. Scheduling time, meeting with your admin is certainly important. And then there's a third one here, which kind of goes back to our tech coaches roundtable, which is stay in contact with other tech coaches. Susan, other than, the interactions that you and I have and like Wednesdays, how are you staying in touch with other tech coaches?
Well, a huge thing for me is I've referred to this before here in Kentucky. We have a huge network of digital learning coaches, not only my colleagues in my former district, who I still have a great relationship with, and we share a lot of things, but just our whole state of Kentucky. We have our hashtag KYDLC hashtag that we follow on Twitter and share resources and items with each other. And, it makes a more cohesive environment when, we know that we're a network across the state, all working toward the same goal.
I think that's important.
You're right. I just love all of the sharing that's going on right now. Like teachers are truly giving teachers and tech coaches, and everyone just seems to like coming together for this common purpose to serve each other. And so I really enjoy seeing that. My tech group, we have, we're constantly texting back and forth. I even renamed our little group Tech Busters. And I tell them we need to have a thing. Who are you going to call? The Tech Busters. Just keeping the humor in it all too, because it can get frustrating, but just trying to maintain positivity is what I strive to work for. And because nothing's gonna change if you get upset with the way things work out. So, right?
Definitely.
So, Susan, we've talked about emails. What's the second thing that we can do to make sure that we're working with our teachers during these digital learning days?
Well, keeping our items, and we talked a little bit about this last week and in our roundtable, is where do we keep all this information that we're sharing with them? Is it a website? Is it a Facebook group? And we just talked about emails. So, one example on the show notes, you're going to find the example that me and my coworker use on our website. We're a Canvas school, and my close coworker works mainly with our middle school and high school teachers who use Canvas. So she has curated so many resources and made so many videos. So you'll find that website example on our show notes later. So that's where we try to curate most of our stuff, as well as our Facebook group that our administrators and teachers share. So that way, if they find a great resource, it doesn't always have to be me sharing that. They can share and collaborate with each other.
Yeah, that's what we're doing too. We've made a Google site, and we've just put our different everything we're training on. We're putting all of our resources on there and keep sharing that link with teachers. And it is very useful because, like you said, we get to collaborate as a team. So it's just not one person doing it. We get to put all our ideas together. So that's been a great resource for my district as well.
I one of the things that I'm really trying to do is keep things simple. I know that out of what we'll call it 80 teachers, not everyone is comfortable, even in their classrooms, teaching digitally. Now you're totally changing their world around and suggesting, we're not forcing, but suggesting that they teach with a video camera in front of them. And all of these things are new. And look, we can redefine the word skittish. And that's a good term to use because that means they're willing to try things. They're just not sure yet. And it's hard for me to say, I'll be there to hold your hand because at the same time they're doing this, I'm teaching my classes. So there's actually been a lot of times in the first couple of days where as I'm trying to do my thing, I'm on another monitor running a text messages with a bunch of teachers. And frankly, I love that. But going back to the digital learning websites, if we were to come out with 9 million pages with tutorials on every link, and teachers are going to get freaky about that and not want to go back because they're not going to know where to start. So what I've done was I just created a page on my Jeff site, called it Digital Learning. I put a frequently asked questions. I put a few links, and I said, next week we're going to add more. And if you want to talk about these things, call me. I'm happy to do it. And then next week, I'm going to do Screencastify and Screencast-O-Matic. And then the following week, I'm going to add, because look, let's face it, it's March 22nd. We're going to be here for the long run.
Yeah, definitely adding those resources at the point they need them. Don't just dump them all on them and say, here's the website, go forth and conquer. We need to curate those at the point of their need.
And so how do we do that? I want to talk about our third thing here, which is the one-to-one coaches. Susan, just on a yes or no here, have you worked this week with teachers one-to-one, have you been coaching teachers this week virtually?
Yes, absolutely.
Melissa, have you been coaching teachers this week virtually?
Yes, we've been doing it more of a group setting. So we've just been having teachers sign up. But since you threw that idea, that's when I was like, I'm going to try that. So I got a few teachers on today, and we were just kind of talking through some of the things that they are going to be starting next week. So they haven't gotten all their direction yet. It's coming next week. So we were just kind of throwing out ideas today. So, but it was really nice to connect with them again and talk about what they foresee that they're going to be teaching.
And we want to hear from you guys. If you're out there teaching one-to-one, if you're out there struggling to figure out where to start, how to motivate, we'd love to hear from you guys. Of course, you can find us over on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach, or you can go over to askthetechcoach.com, or heck, you can reach out to us and join us on Wednesday, March 25th at our next Tech Coach Roundtable. We're probably going to end up doing this almost every Wednesday because it's such an important thing that we all get together. I want to take a moment here. We got 3 more things to think about here, but on this concept of one-to-one coachings, I've been working with the SAMR model. It's not necessarily something that the district says, hey, we've adopted the SAMR model, but here's my philosophy, and I'd love to get your thoughts. Right now, we have all of these teachers, and I mean all, who are used to doing things in their classrooms the way they're doing things. Suddenly, their classroom is ripped out, and they want to keep the status quo. I'm talking to a lot of teachers and trying to understand the concept of you're going to have to rethink what your curriculum is, what your teaching is, what your expectations are, because we do have a lot of teachers that are sitting here saying, I did this before we left, and I don't understand why I can't just do the same thing now virtually. And I'm going, because the kids are literally in bed with the Chromebook open and they're sleeping while you're teaching. So looking at the SAMR model, I'm not calling it that, but we're just diving into the S, right? Substitution. You did this, and now we're going to look at it this way. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, working with a teacher who said, I do these gallery walks where the kids go around the rooms. I'd like to do something now. What do you got? And I said, great. What would that look like? She explained everything to me, and while she was explaining it to me, without her seeing I was doing this, I pulled up a Google slide. I made up a bunch of examples exactly how she told me she did it. And then I pulled up a screen share, and I just saw the eyes, and she says, okay, I got that. Now show me how you're going to make that. And we went back and forth, and like an hour and a half later, she was like, okay, I get it. I said, great. On Monday, have 3 slides. Make it simple, make it easy, make it text-based. If you like that, the next time you do it with audio, do it with video, do it with an image, but we're going to start very simple. Substitute what you're doing yesterday, and how can we do it simple video right now? Don't overwhelm these teachers. Keep it with baby steps. What do you guys think?
Exactly. I mean, I think that was the big thing we told our teachers when we, had to break the news that we were going to have to go to this model. We've trained about the SAMR model for, I mean, at my current school, I've been there a year and a half, and we've trained about the SAMR model, and here we are now living it per se. And, you know, as much as we want to teach, train them to do the A, the M, and the R, at this point, we've got to get them doing the S because we're teaching virtually for those hesitant teachers. And, you know, that's one of my passions, is to help those hesitant teachers work more efficiently. And sometimes that substitution and those baby steps is the most important thing to get them up there where they need to be.
And that's for everybody. I'm looking at my lessons going, okay, at the very start, because these kids aren't used to virtual lessons. So I need to figure out what I was doing before, which again was total Chromebook based, but now they're doing total Chromebook based without the structure. So how do I just go back and say, let's go to the beginning. We're going to substitute this for something similar. And now we're going to move forward. Melissa, do you work with SAMR? Or do you have a philosophy for one-to-one coachings? What are you thinking right now?
Well, we don't work with the SAMR model. So I used Rigor. I don't know if you've heard of Rigor and Relevance by the International Center for Leadership Education. So it's technology by the quadrants and using Bloom's technology to teach. So that's something that I used in my last district, and I've used it now as I've gone. It's been my philosophy that stands behind me, and I've shared it with some teachers. So as they're integrating technology within their classroom, this is kind of what I've shared with some of my teachers, looking at Bloom's taxonomy and where does it fit. But I really do like the layout of the SAMR model.
I think it gives us a nice thing. Again, I don't open the fourth wall and say, now we are doing a substitution. But in my head, I like, for this example, all right, instead of the kid going to a wall and typing something, here's a Google slide. Same exact thing. Then then if she comes back to me again, I'm going to augment it, right? Okay, now we're going to have them make a video and put the video on the slide. And I'm saying things to them like, don't worry, all of your kids know how to do that. Well, what do you mean? Well, they've all had my class, so they know how to do those things. Now the teacher's like, oh, you mean I don't have to worry because the kids know how to do it? Yeah. Exactly. And so trying to look at these one-to-one coachings as baby steps. I got to get them to, just like a normal coaching, I need to make you come back to me for a second round of coaching next week or tomorrow, or, hey, here's my cell phone, text me when you need something, right? But having these things here and not overwhelming them, that's really, really important. Now, Susan,
right. You're right, because at the beginning of the year, it might have been on this show. I was listening, because you come in, you're a new tech coach, you're so excited just to share everything all at once. So I really had to pull back, and I think I've heard this phrase from someone on a podcast, not to vomit your information. And when I feel like when a teacher asks me, I have to step back and Melissa, hold it in, just give them just a piece.
and for me, I miss being a full-time tech coach. And so for me now, being in a position where the teachers are working with you one-to-one, I feel like I'm ready to vomit on them and go here. and it's hard for me to step back and go, shut up and listen. And then take those baby steps with them, because I'm all in. I'm like, oh yeah, look, you can do, and I have to remember, and my first couple were difficult. Here's how I'm doing things. And even when I explain that to my administrators, they're like, oh, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll back up. We're going to take a step back. And I love my administrators. They're constantly telling me to downshift a little bit, and that's important, especially now. I mean, even one of my admins, she emails me the other day. She's like, "You're in heaven doing this, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like I don't have to drive 3 hours to get to school. I'm having a great time, and I'm look at all this good stuff I'm doing, and I don't have to drive to get to school, right? And so one-to-one coachings are important. Another thing, and Susan, you said that you're doing this, group coachings. Have you gotten success? Let me change the question. On your own, have you been successful with the group coachings, or are the group coachings being set up by an administrator, third party that says you now have to go see Susan? How are you setting these things up?
Just as they come to me. Thankfully, in my situation, I have a great relationship, I think, with my teachers, so they know they can come to me, and they've been meeting and planning as teams anyway. For example, the kindergarten team meeting on this day to figure out next week's lessons, and the fourth grade team here or there. And so it's been very easy for me to make that happen. And my team and I'm with the curriculum team, and as we had a team meeting the other day via Zoom, we were talking about, doing more with that in the coming weeks, as they're planning and wanting to know new things. The curriculum, we have a curriculum specialist as well as myself and my coworker as tech coaches. So, bringing in those curriculum specialists with us as we meet with that fourth grade team or whatever team that is. I mean, we even try to meet with the special area teachers as far as, the librarian, the music teacher, the PE and health teacher, what can they do as a group to either support the other teachers or make some of their work and enrichment for the students. So it's been huge for me, and thankfully, again, back to that relationship that was already developed in person has allowed me to be successful here on the distance learning side.
So 5 ways to work with our teachers. We've talked about emails. We've talked about creating our websites, one-to-one coachings, group coachings. There's 2 more here. And the one that I'm nervous about mentioning, because this one kind of gets that slippery slope, but being a member as a teacher in other teachers' Google Classrooms. Have you guys had that experience? Are you putting yourself in there? Are you saying, hey, if you want to add me as a teacher, I can help you? What do you guys think?
Well, I haven't been a teacher in the Google Classroom. Now I've been in some of the Seesaw classes and kind of helped with that when we started building those. But no, I haven't thought about this opportunity to do that.
We've had some good luck with it with our use of Canvas. My coworker who takes care of most of the Canvas, she has the administrative ability on there to just pop in and out. She doesn't have to be a teacher in there. She has full access. So she's able to just pop in and out and just see what those teachers are doing and the collaboration there, and using that as a base for complementing that teacher and the administrator for what they're doing. And then on the elementary side, we use Google Classroom in the elementary, and so myself and the curriculum specialist, we've been able to just ask to be invited as a teacher in those classes and just observing what the teachers are doing. And I think, we've tried to come from, again, the angle of encouragement, and they're now opening themselves up to sharing with us a little bit more and more. So I think, this whole thing, if something positive comes out of this virus going around all over the world, teachers are getting motivated in a whole different way that, maybe we as educators, this is what we needed just to refresh ourselves and revitalize.
I second that. Like I said, we started. We just created like a schedule of different classes they can attend. And first, we just started with the basics: Google Classroom, Seesaw. But then, towards the end of the week, we started pushing out like slide into slides and HyperDoc. And I was so amazed, the turnout. I had 40 teachers come online. They didn't have to, but they just joined. And yes, I got to vomit all my information about hyperslides and why I'm so passionate about them. So it was wonderful for me. I'm super excited about this opportunity.
We actually had a teacher comment the other day to my coworker and I guess all these people who didn't listen to the tech PDs before wish they had of now. And she was saying
yes, they are, because they're having to do it.
So those are our 5 suggestions for you. We want to hear what you're thinking about all this, right? Keeping those weekly emails coming, creating a reasonable digital learning website, setting up one-to-one coaches. And look, we're doing these off hours. I'm doing mine at 8:30 at night. I'm doing mine on Saturdays, because those are the, whenever a teacher reaches out, cool. I'm here for you. I'm certainly not going to say it's 7:00 at night. No, that's my, family situations, but one-to-one coachings, group coachings, becoming teachers, creating everything for our teachers is here. Now, I want to add a sixth one on here, and that's talking about the different templates, right? Because we as tech coaches want to do things. We want to show things. We want in those newsletters to go, hey, here's a suggestion, run. But we don't want to be wasting our time either. What suggestions should we be able to be thinking about when it comes to creating templates, creating resources? What are some suggestions that you guys have for tech coaches who are looking to be helpful but not be overwhelming to either themselves or each other?
Well, I think the choice boards being differentiating for the students, because you don't want to push out the same board for a student who is really advanced compared to that RTI, because even though they're at home, you still need to challenge those students. So I think it's important to really think about how you're organizing those choice boards for your students.
And there's so many things out there that are already created that, so many of our mentors have available for free for us to use. And, don't just take it and use it as is. As a tech coach, grab that, modify it for your teachers, and then put it out to them. Here is, a choice board template. Now give it to the social studies teacher, give it to the math teacher, give it to the English teacher, and they can all modify it to their own subject area. And, just so many things out there, just having, the video platforms ready for them to use, and they're at their fingertips.
Guys, we are going to be meeting this week on Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We're calling it our Tech Coach Roundtable. We did it last week. We're going to do it next week. We would love to have you guys, and I would love nothing more than to have a Zoom room with 400 tech coaches in there, all sharing and caring and making sure. So check this out. Write to us over on Ask the Tech Coach. Ask us for that Google form. I'm happy to send it out to you guys, and would love to have you join us. Melissa, thank you so much for being on the show. You are welcome back on anytime.
Thank you for having me. I love doing this. I'll be back anytime.
Excellent. Susan, what can we expect now that you are officially, you said you're 21 years old. What are you looking forward to as we go through the next couple of weeks in home learning here?
Oh my goodness. I'm just looking forward again to another great week. And I think you mentioned earlier, Jeff, I'm low key loving this, wearing this headset, and we've deemed my office at church where I've been working out of for both jobs, Command Central. So I'm loving this. I'm loving this way of helping teachers. I mean, I can't wait to see them face to face again. Don't get me wrong, but this is just awesome, and looking forward to more great things.
It is nice seeing all the Facebook posts of you having a good time at your digital broadcasting center. It's like, it's why I'm happy you're my co-host for this show, right? All those different things. Guys, we're going to wrap up here. Next week, we're going to be continuing these conversations, talk a little bit more about some of the topics that came out of our roundtable meeting this week. Don't forget to reach out to us over at Ask the Tech Coach. We would love to have you there. This is episode 87. Guys, I don't know what else to say. We're in this for the long run. Some states are closed. Some states are getting there. Some states are saying 3 months, 6 months. I don't want to think about 9 months because that's going to break into, I don't even know. But guys, if you have anything that you'd like us to help you out with, we are here. We are everybody on the TeacherCast Educational Network. And on behalf of Susan and Melissa, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you to keep up the great work in your classroom. Wait a minute. No. We can't do that. Keep up the great work at home and continue sharing your passions with your teachers. Good night, everybody.
You've been listening to Ask the Tech Coach, hosted by Jeff Bradbury of the TeacherCast Educational Network. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach or online at www.askthetechcoach.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.